Hey guys, today I'm installing some dash rings in the E53 that I've got, and also having a look to see if I can find a blown bulb in the instrument cluster. So hopefully while I do it I can show you how to take the instrument cluster out and how to do the same thing if you want to do that. I think the dash rings look quite cool. They're a little bit of a gimmick, but when you turn them on at night they do give you a nice reflection. It looks quite good. Alright, so what I've actually done, I'll turn the camera around. I've actually got the dash out already, but I'll show you how it goes together as I put it back in, and it should make sense. And then just show you how to put, actually, if you buy the dash rings, how to put them in, and just what I'm going to do to find the blown bulb, which is just a backlight bulb. Righto. Okay, so as you can see, I've actually got the dash out. Now, in the E53, it's pretty easy. You just got to be gentle with all these parts. That's my main, I guess, word of warning. If you're not gentle, they can potentially break. So, hopefully you might be able to see under here. So lighting's terrible. You've got two, there's one there, and one over here, and you'll see when I put it back together, but essentially you've got two screws there. You can see where they go in here. That's all that actually holds the instrument cluster in, which is quite convenient. So then to get it out, you've got to pull the steering wheel, or in this case it's an electronic steering wheel, so you extend it all the way out and all the way down. And then once you've undone those two screws, you should be able to pull it out. And I'll demonstrate it when I put it back together again. And then you've also got three clips, that are holding the harness in. So when you do pull it out, don't just try and yank it out. You just got to gently pull it to the side and then undo these. For anyone that hasn't seen these plugs before, they're quite common on these years of BMW, and basically they've got this little bit here that will go over, and it clips over here. So if you're looking at it going, why won't this white bit come off? I'm pulling it really hard, it's not doing anything. If you look closely, it's got a little ledge there that holds that in place, so you've got to push that down. It's not too hard to do two-handed, but push that down as you pull the white piece over. They use the same cables for the head unit and for a few other things in these cars, and also in the E39s. Anyway, alright, so back to what I was saying. Today I've got it out installing the dash rings. As you can see, I've got three of them in already. These little ones, they took me quite a while. They're really hard to get in. Obviously you can't be too hard because they're just plastic, so you can't be too rough with them, but there's not much give when you go to put them in. The larger ones, thankfully, are much easier. So I'm going to demonstrate it by putting the last one in here. Got that just sitting there. Alright, so that's your dash ring there. As you can see, that's the front, that's the back, and it's a bit difficult to show you with the camera, but it should theoretically just go in and clip in. Now the smaller ones, it's pretty easy to at least get them inside, because you can just put them through the hole, hold them over here and try and push them in. Larger ones, they don't fit, so what you've got to do is gently, and I emphasize gently, hold it at the widest point of the opening there, and then I just rotate the bottom like that. Hang on a second. Sorry, you want to make sure that you've got them the right way when you do it. Okay, so I'll just rotate the bottom, or to the side in that case, gently like that. Then I'll go in. And then what you want to do, it's a bit difficult doing this with one hand, sorry, is move this across. Just be careful not to scratch the actual plastic in front of the dash cluster. And then I'm going to have to put this phone down, I think, to actually do it. But with two hands, you just want one on each side. You want to just push the dash ring in. So I'll see if I can show you. Right. Now the larger ones, as I said, they're a bit easier to do. Just want to gently go around and make sure that each of these, make sure that it's secured in place all the way around and that it's even, and you'll be able to tell from the front. So there you go, that's what it looks like. Alright, so just before I go and put it back together, I just gave it a quick clean inside, so inside the face in here. And the reason for that is when you're working, it's pretty easy for your hands to touch the inside plastic, and you're going to get a bit of grime and fingerprints and dust and that kind of thing. So I've just got a microfiber towel and went through and clean that so it doesn't show up once the dash cluster is back together. Now when you go to put the dash cluster back together, or when you're taking it apart, you'll notice that you've got these, I guess you call them pins here. There's a few of them. Thankfully all mine are intact. You've got to be really gentle with them, and I'll show you when I put it back together, which I'll do in a second. I'll show you what their purpose is. But basically, if you have a look, there's a good example of one. I mean, you can sort of see this one here. It's actually curved as it goes up, or it's rotated, I should say. So that actually won't match the pattern on the instrument cluster. Sorry guys. So you've actually got to have it turn it a little bit gently. I use some pliers to do it, and just make sure that it lines up when you go to take it apart and put it back together. So it's just be a little bit difficult one-handed. I'll see how I go. I may have to come back to you. So as I said, you just want to be really gentle with all these bits. You definitely don't want to go grabbing anything and pulling it. Don't play around with the dials, that kind of thing. Just essentially, you don't want to touch anything that you don't need to, because they are fragile. Okay, so what we'll do is line up these pins. Now you can see that that's sort of slid in a little bit, but it's not going in all the way. Now when you go to take it apart, and you'll see as I put it back together, there's two clips on the top here and two on the bottom. One over here, which hasn't gone in yet, and one over here. So just allow me to get that in a little bit better. Alright, now this is going to take two hands, but essentially what you want to do is, starting on one side, in this case I'll probably start from this side, slowly go around, make sure that the clips line up. There's probably a good example here. You can see that the clip doesn't quite line up. It's very close, but it doesn't quite line up with those holes on the side. All of mine are pretty close, thankfully, but yeah, there's another one there. That's not going to go in, so you're going to have to get some pliers, gently twist them as you go and push them back in. So you're going to have to leave me with it, guys, to do that, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's together. Okay, so that's back together, and that's what you're going to see. Just to demonstrate, in case I wasn't making much sense before, take this one here, for example. That doesn't quite line up, so what I do is very gently put some pliers diagonally on that clip and turn it. Not much, just a little bit. See if I can get it to focus. Just turning it a little bit, just like that. It's not much, and it'll line up. Alright, I think you get the point. So yeah, it's difficult to do that as you undo the clips at the top. It took me a little while to get out. It can be useful if you've got two people, one to hold the clips and push them down as you gently gently turn these and pull it apart. The other thing that I found useful is using a couple of plastic pry tools. Alright, now the other thing that I need to do before I put this back together is look at the one of the backlights that's out. Now mine's for the odometer, which is around here. Now these should just turn gently and come out. So I'm being very gentle with this. Alright, and there we go. Now I just want to have a look at the bulb. Just a quick editing note here, guys. The bulbs are incandescent, they're not LED, so they're not. It's not impossible for them to blow a bulb occasionally. And as hopefully you can see in the video, they're pretty easy to get out. You just got to turn them counterclockwise, about 90 degrees, and then they will pull out. Thankfully, in my case, it just ended up being the fact that the connection was a little bit dodgy. So when I actually put the bulb back in, it started working perfectly for me. So before you go and buy a new bulb, it's worth just trying that. Okay, so now I want to put the instrument cluster back in the dash. This may take two hands again, so look, I'll see how I go. Hey guys, post video me here again. Turns out it definitely does take two hands to put back together. Just a couple of things to note when you're putting it back in. As I said, I came from the right hand side. I put each clip in. They're relatively easy to put in. The only thing you got to make sure you do is make sure you push the clip in far enough first before trying to put that sort of cam section back up. On the blue clip, that white section that you saw. If you try and do it before you push it in properly, it's not going to work. Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. You literally just put them back, put the connectors in, and then gently put the instrument cluster back in the dash, and you just put the two screws back in. Now another thing to note is that when you take the instrument cluster out and disconnect it, for some reason the headlights will turn on. I don't know exactly why that is. The best thing to do, best practice would be to disconnect the battery while you do this, as you would with any electrical work on the car. I didn't do that. I actually ended up leaving the car running, and look, I didn't have any real issues with that. The only thing I noticed was when I went to put the instrument cluster back in and connected everything up, I got an error for brake linings for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure. But once I'd started the car a couple of times, that went away. And I know for a fact that the brakes that I've got are fine. So whether that trips something, I'm not too sure. But that's just something to be aware of. And if you're going to not disconnect the battery, then just be aware that the battery could go flat with the headlights on. So my advice would be to disconnect it. Other than that, putting the cluster back in went really smoothly. There was no other issues at all. So what I'll do, I'll leave you with a quick photo of what it looks like before and after. and hopefully you can see the difference that it makes. If you've got any questions, feel free to put a comment below, and yeah, I'll get back to you with anything that I can to help. Alright guys, thanks.